I don't know if it's new, but we're live. So, good morning, Facebook.
Oh, we're live. Hey. Good morning, Facebook. I'm always not ready. Early in the morning. How everybody doing out there, Jamaica? How you doing? Good morning.
I'm all right.
Yeah?
I think. I don't know. We about to talk some about some things, like some. Not that we don't always talk about deep, heavy shit, because
Yeah.
that's kind of our shtick, I guess. Um, but good morning, Gigi. So today we are talking about what? What are the things we're talking about? Officer misconduct,
Yes.
raise the age, and miseducation in our schools.
Huge topic.
What's funny is that I can imagine some people looking at those three things and saying, "How are those connected? I don't understand. Like, how do those three go together?" Uh, well, I was actually thinking about this this morning on my way over, and was thinking about how the background I come from is education, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing. Fighting for education justice and equity in our schools and changing what schooling looks like, and that it really is only it's not even a whole year that I've been doing work in justice reform inside our justice system. Whereas the opposite is true for you.
Yes. Been doing justice work for a long time, fighting both out here with you all that are in this fight with us and behind the wall.
And then we came together, and it's like Wonder Twins activate in the form of social justice warriors.
But the interesting thing is that justice work kind of encapsulates education and encapsulates
Yeah.
all these different, I think, pillars of inequity in our community. Because like bees are problematic, so are so many different issues in our community that we are struggling and fighting against. The intersection between education and what we mean by justice reform, as far as schools prison pipeline, um, police targeting, and incarceration, are connected in so many different ways. Like it's really, I think, difficult at times to tell the difference, and maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we
No.
should be looking at this
Yes.
as a collective approach and not just these different pillars.
So we're gonna have a bee situation today. Let's just get that out of the way. So when you see me flipping my hair, it's not me being cute. That's not that's not what's happening. Uh, but let's start with officer misconduct, which is the nice way of saying police brutality.
Yeah,
I mean, there are other ways, I suppose, that officers could be misconducting.
yeah, it's early for
It's
sure.
gonna be that kind of day.
Misconducting.
May the force be with you.
Yeah, yeah. We just heard recently that the investigation into the brutality against Mr. Yegushar Gandapsar has wrapped up. It took some time to do so.
Already?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just want to go
yeah,
back and see
yeah.
when it started. You keep talking because I
No,
just
yeah, I will. I'll keep talking. So that investigation is wrapped up. We just heard that it reported. Um, Yet they're not going to release, I guess, the conclusions for another couple of weeks. So it took all this time, and now they're not going to release the
But
conclusion.
it's done.
But it's done,
The
and
report's done. They have a conclusion.
yeah, yeah. And the reason why they're not releasing it, it seems, I don't know, sketchy at best. And then I'm wondering if this investigation for this officer can be conducted in this manner, where we're just trying, where it seems appears anyway that they're trying to give him in that investigation, it's an opportunity to be vetted and looked into to see if there's anything missed. Why isn't that the same way in which we're
July
done?
6th.
July 6th.
July 6th is when Officer Palmer put his knee on the neck of Yogeshwar Gandaprasad um, for the accusation of a slashed tire,
Yeah.
but really specifically because Yogeshwar said, "Show me proof. You don't have any proof? Then no." So he felt like in the video, you see the officer feels disrespected and escalated the situation to the point of putting Yogeshwar's life in jeopardy.
Yeah.
over a slash tire that ain't cost more than like two, three, maybe $400 if you fancy. So July 6th, and today is August 17th, and I think it was August 14th or 15th that the paper reported that the investigation by the police review, right? Because it was an internal investigation that the district attorney's office was also a part of. No, I'm not trusting Bob Carney. So what's that? 6 weeks,
Too long.
and but you done, but you ain't telling us what you concluded. Why? Are you what is it that you need to prepare for? What results from the investigation do you feel you need preparation to tell the public based on officer misconduct that is videotaped? Because if we don't have the videotape and we don't have people in the streets, ain't shit happening anyways.
That's a fact.
So,
I mean, can we contrast up against how fast Yagushar was charged?
oh my lord, whoo, lightning!
Yeah,
It was
Yagushar was charged
superhero
immediately.
speed.
Um, and they still haven't charged him with what the officer originally went there for. Isn't that accurate?
No, it's my understanding that it was he's resisting arrest and something
And
else.
some sort of like it that's the problem on its head. Like that's what I mean. Like he's charged immediately.
Yeah.
He's sent to jail.
Yeah.
You have this investigation being conducted. You have him already in court proceedings.
And the officer's still on the job, on desk duty, collecting a check. I don't, I yeah, but Yeagerschwar had bruises and scrapes, lost consciousness. His family was traumatized for a slash tire that we still don't know if he did it. And I'm gonna be real, I don't give a fuck if he did. Even if he slashed that tire,
he's not deserving.
He is not deserving of what happened to him. And this is what we're talking about: is how is the punishment equal to the harm that was caused? Right? I don't like saying crime. It just seems like a dirty word. But the harm that was caused to property, the damage that was done, already this family has suffered and paid a cost for an alleged offense that is yet to be proven. So tell me why they didn't drop charges yet. Bob Carney. Question: if anyone knows Bob Carney and feels like tagging Bob Carney, the district attorney for Schenectady, to ask Bob Carney, why is it that you haven't dropped charges against Yagashwal Ganga Prasad in the alleged allegation, that's the same words twice, of slashing tires? Why? Okay.
It's not in his best interest to do so, and that's not how the system actually operates. No, to do that would have to be they'd be admitting some sort of fault.
So people of color are to be harmed by police officers with no sense of justice for the DA to say face?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Okay. Yes. That's the pattern. That's the historic pattern that we've seen time and time and time again. It's nothing really new. Yeah. And this is what this fight for us, and for me specifically, Jamaica Miles, also is about. It's time to change the systems and structures. It's time to address all of this, and this is why we continue to do these lives and talk about these issues.
Because it takes millions of petition signatures. It takes millions of people in the streets for us to get any sense of justice. I can't. Oh wait,
and we didn't even get justice yet.
Well, yeah, I can't. I wasn't even gonna go there. Like, just the concept of, like, right now they feel I'm making assumptions. I'm okay with making assumptions. They feel, and by they I mean the police chief and the mayor and the police department I feel like we're glitching and it's bothering me. They feel as if they've done enough by telling us publicly that there's an investigation, so we should just go home. But someone wanted to ask us about the talking points of right wingers. If you don't break the law, you don't have anything to worry about. Yeah, no. If you break the law and you're a cop, you ain't got nothing to worry about. That's how that
You better,
goes.
yeah, you better say that. You better
Like,
say
if
that.
you break the law and you happen to have a badge, you wear blue or gray, because state troopers are now in Schenectady. I don't know if you saw
Yes,
that.
I did.
They've increased police presence in the city, which has never made a difference on the crime rate, but
Can we
whatever.
can we say that again? It's never made a difference in the crime rate.
Increasing the amount of police presence, whether it is local PD or if it is state troopers offering assistance, has not decreased the crime rate. Um, Programs and services directed to communities have decreased the crime rate,
Yeah.
but we don't see them increasing that budget line. And what was also funny in the article I read is they won't specify exactly how many state troopers are supporting because of safety reasons?
Yeah, because of safety
Question mark.
reasons. And my thing is like more specifically, police, law enforcement are reactionary
Mm-hmm.
tools to address safety. They're not preventative.
Yeah.
I said this yesterday, and Michelle Alexander, I won't steal it because I will give you credit for this. Like increasing the increase of police and all these other reactionary measures do not make people safe. Does not
Yeah.
reduce crime. What
Yeah.
does reduce crime is what increase in opportunity, increase in better housing, increase in better
Resources.
resources,
Yeah.
right? Increase in better healthcare, increase in better programs, increase in community investment could change a whole lot and make us all safe. And we are glitching a little bit.
A little bit. Do we have to move closer to the?
I don't know.
We'll do
Hey,
it.
could somebody type in? Are we glitching
I
or are we
thought I saw
smooth?
somebody say a glitch.
If we're not,
Yes. That was a quick yes. That was a.
that
We're
was a
gonna
quick
just.
yes.
We're gonna watch. We are mobile. We will just watch this. We're gonna.
You got it. All right.
Let's see. Let's see how close we have to get for this to make a difference. Still glitching. Still glitching. Not glitching. Glitch. 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 Isn't that fun to watch this happen? Apparently, it likes the front porch and not the back porch. Um, we really might have to go to the front porch. I'm mad.
Well,
We just
instead
gonna
of being mad, let's just go to the
we
front
just gonna
porch.
go to the front porch. So welcome to
The mobiles. The
all of
mobile
us.
live.
We'll see. Hopefully we don't lose signal. I'm taking my coffee. Like that's I don't
I got it.
listen. All right. So y'all just gonna walk with us. This is how you know it's live and that we're real people and there's no production. Y'all just glitch, glitch, glitch. Thanks, Tom. We're working on it. We're working on it. Jamie, I got it. We're working on it. Y'all know I'm silly. Mars said, I've always dreamed of being able to fly. So that's what this is like. You feel like you're flying. That's hilarious. So we're coming back to our usual spot. We'll see how this goes. If it keeps glitching now, oh wow, that was horrible. If it glitches now, I'm going to just blame the government. I might have to blame the government. You know what? I wonder what the other possibility. Hey, Facebook Live. This is what happens. It's not plugged in today. I wonder if it makes a difference that we're running off the battery instead of it being plugged in. Like, is that taking up extra bandwidth somehow? Techie people, tell me if that's a real thing. Yup, still glitching.
Still glitching. Wow.
Yeah. So either
So why
the
don't you man the battleship?
I'm gonna what?
Man the battleship, or woman the battleship, or
I'm going to
the
person
battleship.
the battleship. Uh, and Kenneth, yes, it is the government's fault. There is absolutely a reason why we're glitching. So while my co-host, it's you all say it's much better, but on my side, it still looks all like This is going to be the strangest Monday morning ever. Anyone that watches this not live is going to be like, what the hell was going on? So, what we were talking about is that Schenectady Police Force and the mayor suck. That was the short version. Ellie, I'm not going to answer that question right now. We will answer that later. Um, but it took 6 weeks to complete an investigation into allegations against the police officer's misconduct, which really is police brutality against a resident in Schenectady who was accused of slashing a tire or slashing multiple tires. I'm like, maybe it's multiple tires. Don't care. It took weeks for that investigation to happen. And being told that the investigation was complete didn't mean that the public received the results of the investigation. It meant the public was told the investigation is complete, but y'all got to wait another couple weeks before we actually give you the results of the investigation. So that don't. Whereas Yageshwar was arrested, charged within minutes of the officer's decision making skills, poor decision making skills. Uh, and we all knew what the charges were. Like it's not been a secret. I haven't heard from District Attorney Bob Carney as to why those charges still stand when Yageshwar has already received more punishment in the altercation with the officer than any potential sentence would give for the misdemeanor charges. Question mark. And that it took the family, for those that are not familiar, it took the family an enormous amount of stress and strain and struggle to actually find where Yageshwar was, being sent back and forth to the county jail, to the police station, and then to the hospital, where they discovered that he was gone. He was gone. So, but now the charges still stand. The officer is still on desk duty receiving a paycheck, and the community is required to wait. That was my waiting face. And for what? Because someone in the comments earlier said they need to get their ducks in a row. They need to practice their story. They need to make sure that they say the things that they need to say. Whew, I'm sweating running around here. Okay. We're plugged in. We're in our usual spot. And the person that called the police said that they didn't want to press charges in the first place. Absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm taking up all the space. I'm not really mad about that. Okay. Is that better? Yeah, why can't we wait to get arrested?
Yeah, right.
Why do we have to be arrested when they want? Like, oh, yes, Kenneth, you are with it today. Thank you so much. Oh, wait, I'm going to give you some more space. I feel like I'm taking up the whole camera.
You should take up the whole camera. Yes. I want to see my ugly mug early in the morning.
So I feel like with all of our technological and bee drama this morning, that we have exhausted the whole officer misconduct bullshit. Mm-hmm. But there was one fun fact that I need to share with everyone. That in the months of March and April of 2020, police officers have killed as many people as they killed in March and April of 2019. Damn. Not even COVID could stop police violence. And I actually got that from DeRay McKesson, so I can't be like, ooh, I thought of this witty thing to say. No, I'm stealing.
That's
but it's a fact.
it's a sad. That's a very sad statistic.
I'm
That
not sad. I'm angry.
despite, well, I'm both, and despite the global pandemic and everything that's happened, that and folks not coming out for months,
Right. Nobody's outside, but you still found a
you
way to
still
kill
found a
us.
way to kill. Yeah, yeah. Once again, if you think that police are somehow preventing crime, I task you with going and looking at the statistics and crime rates, and we've have over the last, as a society, over the last 100 years or last 50 years, if you want to use that, increased the police's capability both technologically and their manpower
Resources.
consistently, year after year after year after year. Crime has not stopped. When someone fires a gun, or something happens in the community, that person fires that gun, the results happen, the police show up and react. Um, Sometimes not on time, most times not on time,
Oh,
conduct some sort of
depending.
investigation, depending on where they're going.
Yeah, because they ain't showing up to our hood fast.
It's reactionary. It's reactionary. And it's time for, I think, for us to kind of at least accept that truth that police do not, as an institution, keep people safe. They react to crime. They react to instances of harm in the community. They're not out there, hey, don't shoot that gun. Hey, don't abuse that person. Hey, don't settle. Like, they ain't doing that,
I'm
right?
sorry.
They're out there reacting to crime. And if you want to prevent crime, if you want to prevent crime, if you want to prevent these instances of harm, we need to increase preventative measures. We need to increase actual investment in our community. I know I said this already, but it was during a glitch. I want to make sure you guys are hearing me. Um, Increase in job opportunity, increase our education funding. Make sure our children, our young people are getting the type of education that's actually beneficial, that actually reveals to them the truth of their society and what their opportunities truly are.
Yeah, without police in schools, like we don't know. We need, yeah, mine's not. We need counselors, not cops. Alliance for Quality Education. What up? How you doing? We need guidance counselors. We need social workers in our schools and in our communities.
Yeah.
And in our 13 demands, when we talk about defunding the police and reappropriating funds, we talk specifically about the community deciding what that looks like. What type of community, collective, or group could do conflict resolution when you think somebody slashed your tires? Which really should be a civil case. I like.
And I want to point, it's interesting. I know we're going back to that, and we probably need to, like, all this stuff is interconnected. But
Mm-hmm. We gotta get to
remember
the
the
kids.
community, in that moment, the person that had supposed wrong done to him had said specifically, "I do not want him arrested.
Yep.
I do not want him to go to jail.
Yep.
He has a family." This is the words of the person that called the accuser, the person that called the cops. I don't want him to go to jail. I just want him to realize that we have this on film. You did this, and I want you to pay for it. Period.
Yeah.
And if you remember the entire story, is he's like, hey, the accuser says, hey, someone slashed Yeguashar's tires. I think he think I did it, and that's why he did this. I'm not saying this. I'm not trying to test the truth of this. I'm just saying this is what the officer heard on the scene. And yet, and still, we end up in a situation where a person is brutalized. And for what did that? For what reason did it happen? It's the culture of violence, in my estimation, that and not just violence, because violence is here; it's inherent in our entire society.
Yeah, I'm not.
But there's also a devaluation
Yes.
of life, and the devaluation, especially of Black and Brown folks, and their worth. That
He
pops up
is
in these
brown.
cultures.
He's very brown.
Yeah, he's
Very
very
brown.
brown.
Very brown. So yeah, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole. My first thought was, but what about the good cops? We're not doing that today. We're not doing it. I feel like I made it glitch because I was angry. We're not going to do that today. It's my energy. We
And
need
what about
to.
the good cops?
What
Somebody
about
say that in
somebody?
our chat?
No, not in our chat. No, ain't nobody following us saying that nonsense. we're going to switch gears because we know that officers are given the benefit of the doubt. They maintain their jobs, they maintain their paychecks, they get to go home to their families, regardless of the charge, regardless of the harm they do to the community. They get to live their lives until we show up and cause a fuss and a ruckus.
Yeah.
Depending on which area you're in, it might have to be a louder ruckus than others because Bob Carney's been the DA in Schenectady for over 30 years, locking up black and brown folks like it's nobody's business. And District Attorney Soares, I'm so sorry, Albany. And we're here for you to help because he sucks. And Jaden, Jaden's case right now, that still should
Yeah.
have been dismissed.
Yeah.
And then up in Saratoga, it's all a mess, right? DAs suck, the police force sucks, mayors are not really helping at all. Um, and now, because we don't have enough going on, there is a call to roll back, raise the age. You want to talk about what raise the age is and what it did? And I'll help because I was there for it.
Um, yeah, so for those of you watching who are not sure about what raise the age is, it was legislation that was passed a couple years ago that did what the title of it said. It raised the age um, of individuals that can be charged as adults. So at one time in our state, you could be charged as adults, and I know several folks who went through this were charged as adults as minors, 16, 17,
15.
15
Yeah.
years old. Now in New York State, and we're one of the last states to actually do this. It was not like we were leading on this. We were one of the last states to actually do this. We have raised the age to be charged as an adult to 18.
With some quid pro quos. Like there are still situations where, oh, they can make a case for if it's a certain thing.
Mm.
So yeah, no, it's not everything it should be, and 18 is like the floor of considering that this is a developing human being that has not reached the ability to fully understand their actions and consequences.
You know what's interesting is I just said that we were one of the last states to actually implement this kind of change and the way we, charge youth with crimes and send them to adult prisons. Um, it took the weight of not only them and every other state already implementing something like this,
Right?
but like research and data
Yep.
that consistently pointed out the fact that you don't know what the fuck you're doing at 16. I mean, the curse, but 16, 17 years old. Now, I'm not saying in the scientific terms. In the scientific terms, we're not fully matured,
25.
developed until we're 25 years old.
25.
And we don't make the most rational decisions. Shocker that we're not making the most rational decisions as people at ages of 15, 16 years old, and therefore should not be charged as adults and sent to prison with grown men or women or just grown people, period. And then somehow that's supposed to change who we are. That's supposed to make us better people. That's supposed to do what? It's supposed to discard and dispose us that, like all the rest of these laws have been doing for generations.
And we didn't even mention the fact that it's not just that you're inside a facility with grown folks, you're inside a detrimental facility that is harmful to grown folks, that is abusive and neglectful and filled with all types of oppression and hatred towards grown folks and now also children. And someone else had put in the chat, I think it was Kenneth, that said, you can't buy alcohol at 18, but you can be sentenced to life in prison at 18. But we also know that it depends on the color of your skin, your race, your ethnicity, and your country of origin. Because if you white and you rape a girl behind a garbage can dumpster, that the judge will say, I don't want to ruin the rest of his life.
Yeah, racial bias shows up every single where you look.
Yeah.
And incarceration and police targeting is definitely one of those places that is extremely, extremely vivid. The line is very bright when it comes between black, brown, and then white folks. It's a different. It's a different thing. And you're right. That brutality. And so in a prison full of grown people that are also harmed by the brutality of the system, that's where we
Yeah.
find a lot of young people. And this raise the age addresses some things, and it ain't perfect. It's not perfect, and it could be better. Um, and I see someone say that they have family member that's a correctional officer and he hates. Yeah, because it's once again the culture of corrections officers is very similar to that of the police department. It's a culture of violence. It's a culture of targeting and control that does not value black and brown people. Doesn't barely even value life.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, and I understand that there's people out there that are going to make the argument. You said it earlier. We're not going to do the good cop, bad cop, the good correction or bad correction because the good so-called person who isn't going to smash somebody's head into the wall or step on somebody's neck or
Watch it
they will
happen.
watch it happen and not say anything about it. So how does that make that person good?
But let's put kids in there.
Acquiescence. What's that?
Let's put kids in there. Let's put kids where you talking about right now. Because they're 17 or even 18 and they may have done something, and I'm always going to say accused because our justice system is flawed. It is heavily biased and racist.
Yeah.
So I have no, like, you need to forget shadow of a doubt. You got to do a lot more than that to convince me, one, that you're convicting them and that the punishment is is proportional to the harm that was caused and is what the community wants to allow for restoration of that relationship. I'm not buying it. These are children. They're children. And individuals who are saying right now we need to roll back, raise the age, and incarcerate children who are 15, 16, 17 years old because if we don't, they're going to commit even worse crimes because we didn't arrest them. What? What? No. Instead of, let's invest in supporting these youth and get them the services and after school programs and whatever wraparound programs that would allow them to flourish and do better so that they make better choices and better decisions and have that type of capability. Instead, we're just going to say they're super predators and lock them away. I thought Hillary Clinton apologized for saying that. Did I miss something?
Yeah. Well, how would Hillary not apology? Because that mindset she spoke to is the truth that many, many people in places where this harm is not happening believe. Right? So when you're out there talking about, hey, let's raise the age, you clear that this ain't about your kids.
Yeah.
Right? This ain't about your community. This is about other communities. You got people in communities that aren't targeted by the police in the same way, that do not suffer the same incarceration rates, that are trying to make decisions on what happens in other communities where that is happening all the
Right.
time. It's very, I mean, it's a scary thing to think that that's still happening. And I've seen leadership in different communities already bring this up, and we're not going for it. We hear you, and this is why we're actually talking about it, and we're going to make sure that if you even make any inroads or steps to try to
No.
raise
No.
try to repeal
No.
raise the age, that's going to be really problematic.
We
Now I hope you're watching this live.
because justice reform covers so many aspects of the justice system. Y'all ain't gonna, you're not gonna do to raise the age what you did to bail reform.
Yeah.
That was early on in our careers inside all of us.
Yeah.
So we didn't, no.
Yeah.
Not the babies. It's bad enough what you already did, and we're already seeing that they are being creative and finding ways to lock up our children anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, so if y'all not aware, like just recently, there were some 17-year-olds that were arrested for an investigation into something that happened in the community, and they're 17 years old. Therefore, they fall underneath raise the age, where they can't be charged as adults. They were charged as minors, but in a rare move, something that doesn't ever really happen, where they're convicted of doing any action of harm where they're not shooting or hurting him. Like they had a possession of a weapon, I think it
Yep.
was, and they were remanded. They were kept inside, not released to their family. This happened, I believe, in Albany
Yes.
County,
Yep.
and we are hoping that this is not a sign, or telltale sign that this is the response to raise the age. This is now the court system saying, okay, you know what? We can't do this like this, but we'll keep them inside like.
This is
And just if you didn't know, they're all black and brown, which is not a
like we
surprise,
had
I'm
to say
sure.
that.
Yeah.
But this is stop and frisk. This is broken window policing.
Mhm.
The idea that, oh, if I stop them right now, I have prevented a potential crime that absolutely is going to happen because I have them right now. They had a gun. So you know they was gonna kill somebody. You don't fucking know that. You have no idea. I've heard people talk about um, going to school and having firearms on them, not because they were in school and afraid, but because of the communities they were going back to were so violent. And it wasn't because they intended to cause harm, but it was a way for them to show, like, nah, don't fuck with me, leave me alone. They didn't want to shoot anybody. It was a way to have some form of protection in what felt like a hostile community that was underfunded with lack of resources and housing insecurity and shit. You're telling these kids that violence is the answer because cops show up every fucking day and brutalize communities, but they're not supposed to be violent to protect themselves. You show up and beat the shit out of us, but that's not how we're supposed to respond. We're not supposed to use violence to protect ourselves, but you're supposed to use violence to against us to protect what? That's
Yeah.
just my new thing. What?
Yeah. I mean, it flies in the face, I think, of common sense. And the common sense approaches to changing our community for the better is what we actually need. And the common sense is led from our community.
Yeah.
It's led from us.
Yeah.
Us having a conversation and being there to actually create the community that we all deserve and want. Not folks that ain't living here, not folks that are coming in to decide what this community should be or
Right.
how it should be policed.
Yeah.
Why are we still allowing that?
Task force, but we're not talking about that today.
I mean, we could. It's all part of the same thing.
It
Intersection.
is, but if we don't get to, how we need to change the education in our buildings,
Yeah, it's another. Yeah.
our children up to and including and beyond 18 need to be supported, need to be loved and cared for, and shown there are other options available to them, which means you also have to actually make the other opportunities available to them. You can't just bullshit them and say, hey, don't be out in the streets selling drugs because you could be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Fuck you. That's bullshit. Like, what you invested into this community that allows those children, and why would we want them to end up in a capitalist system that for them to become part of a Fortune 500 company, they have to harm their own community to make that kind of money? No. But invest in, remember there used to be trade inside high school? Like you could do welding and shop and stuff like that. Electricians get paid hella money.
Yeah, I used to do it.
Like what are we doing to like offer those types of programs and say, hey, if you're really good with computers, here's a code writing. I'm not good with computers. I don't know what that means.
But I think like your overall point is invest in other opportunities and ways for folks to be successful. Let's show them clear pathways to that, and not this kind of pie in the sky envisioning, because that ain't working for damn near anybody. It definitely ain't working for black and brown people.
No.
And the way in which we are now, I think, advancing in technology, and then all the jobs that are actually being shed across the country, like it's difficult for people to think that they're going to go to school for 4 years, get a bachelor's degree, and then show up at a corporation and get a job. Like let's stop fooling ourselves. This is that trend is passing. Things are changing. We need to invest in these communities that are getting further and further and further behind with opportunity, and we need to acknowledge Like, so
Yup.
we talk about education,
Yup.
but we need to also acknowledge that the communities of color,
Mhm.
right, throughout New York State, and we'll keep to the greater capital region. The communities of color, Arbor Hill, Hamilton Hill, South End, um, Troy, like they have historically been pushed behind or had obstacles placed in front of them for their success. Their
Yeah.
schools have not been funded. They have not been allowed, I think, to be upwardly mobile as a
Yeah.
community in ways that other communities have, and
Mhm.
that's where they have this position now. Not, and I'm saying now like today, but this is like
Forever.
generations before I even got here, right? We need to acknowledge that and invest in that way. Like that
Yeah.
was what CFE was supposed to be about, right? At least
Campaign for fiscal equity.
yes. Sorry for the acronyms.
Campaign
Campaign for
fiscal
fiscal equity was
equity.
about making sure that the communities of color, the communities that have been historically harmed, were getting the funding necessary to actually be successful and to challenge, or rival in a sense schools that have historically benefited from the inequities in our community. So that still ain't happened.
I'm
How old is
just
that?
I'm just so excited right now. I get so excited when other people talk about education in ways that normally it was just me. Like,
Nah, it's definitely
more
important
than 10
fact.
years ago,
Yeah,
over a decade,
yeah.
if you were here in Schenectady, well, wait, crap, Romans 3. So we're talking like 14 years ago because we did a march from Schenectady to Albany, which was the last leg of the march that started in New York City to commemorate 10 years. So, yeah, that. But it was about investing in children, supporting children.
Yeah.
Raise the Age is about treating children like children, not incarcerating them because the carceral system ain't helping nobody. It sure as hell is going to help developing young minds. And if you believe that white people who are children deserve an opportunity to learn and grow, but black and brown children, they're just criminals and violent, you're racist.
I'm just I'll be honest with you. I am kind of tired of constantly watching people in our community and other spaces like we ignore it because it's so consistent. It's always there in front of us. We recognize that Schenectady High, Albany High, like even though there's some investment going on with the building structure, maybe not the classrooms, maybe not the type of education but the building looks nice. Like there's a clear difference in opportunity. They just celebrated, which I don't know what it is. I don't know what the graduation rate was this year for Schenectady, but I remember reading in the paper they were overjoyed about a 66% graduation rate in a school that is mostly people of color. What? Are you serious? While the school
What?
right next door in this unit has a graduation rate in the upper 80s? Like, what are we talking about here? Why would we be celebrating that kind of non success? I mean, this is all about
I mean, we should
miseducation and
say,
opportunity. Yeah,
and
that's just
that's,
stupid.
I think that's the same guy that hit that woman coming down the street. Sorry. Um, Cars driving way too fucking fast on a road that's filled with pedestrians and children and families. I ain't got time to put stop signs everywhere. So, interestingly enough, when we talk about success and graduation rates, we are also talking about what it means to be successful and what children are taught in order for them to be successful. And our current school system is based on white supremacy, it's based on racism, it's based on oppression, it's based on not historical fact. It is created
Historical propaganda.
to mold people to be part of the current capitalist system. So, Niskayuna, congratulations. Over 80% of your students are capable of being capitalists. And we should celebrate successes though, right? There are still things in schools. There's always a teacher who has taught a child something that made a difference in their lives. If we're lucky enough. I'm not going to say always. That was like a mistake because I know too many students that have had horrible time in schools and not gotten the one teacher that was good. But there are teachers who have impacts on students' lives not specifically academic, right? Not in the ways that is measured by our current school system, but school teaches you that Columbus was a hero, black people were slaves, and all of the technological advances of the world are made by white people.
And Martin Luther King was a really good guy.
He was a really good guy who believed in nonviolence
Yeah,
and turned the other cheek.
he was
Not
respectable.
completely true.
Yeah.
So, lies, and we teach our children lies, and all children, not just black children, because we teach white children lies that mold their perceptions of their level of expectations of black and brown people, as well as their expectations of white people, to fit inside the current systems and structures and institutions that are racist. So we're perpetuating racism inside our public schools, and then taking those black and brown children who are problematic. You won't sit still in class. You don't want to listen to this racist bullshit. The teacher told you to take your hoodie off, so that meant that you were being disrespectful. You're going to be suspended for that shit, but you didn't take your hoodie off because you didn't sleep, because you've been taking care of your little sister all night, because your mom was sick and so was your sister, and there was no food that morning and you're tired, but your teacher kicked you out of the classroom because there are no wraparound services to offer support for you or your family, and now you're in jail. Guess what I'm going to say? What?
I mean, it's a system that has survived and I would say thrived in this way
Mm-hmm.
forever.
Mm-hmm.
These conversations that we have, y'all, these ain't new.
Nope.
Like there's been other communities across our nation that have built their own kind of small pockets of educational opportunities for young
Mm-hmm.
people. But we need to begin. We need to push this into our school system. We don't need it to be whitewashed. We don't need to say, "Hey, okay, we're going to talk a little bit about African American history, or we're going to support the education of about other cultures a little bit, and then have this kind of not really genuine attempt or approach to education
Yeah.
in a way that I think that would actually value other cultures and value specifically Black and Brown people in our communities.
And be honest.
The truth is the truth is scary for a lot of people, but the truth is the truth. The truth will set a pathway forward for us
Yeah.
all. And thinking about education the way we've been taught has only caused harm for a lot of people.
Most people.
Think about this.
Most people.
Yeah, so how would our
Including
education
white
help it?
people.
Six families, 42% of the wealth. Like 307
No,
million
wait.
dollars.
Say it louder. They didn't hear you. That was a whisper.
Six families own 42% of the wealth in the country. That's a statistic. It's a real thing.
Those 6 people are the Walton family. Walmart. Y'all shopping at Walmart. Cars are literally racing down. Just
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's going on
I'm
with that.
I'm thinking we might want
Yeah,
to
this
sign
is
a
really
petition.
alive, y'all. We're seeing all kinds of crazy shit
Fucking
crazy stuff this
insane.
morning.
So Walmart is actually subsidized by the government because they don't pay their workers a livable wage. They don't offer them adequate health care and paid sick leave. So they receive social services to supplement that. At the same time, the Waltons make billions of dollars and own all of that wealth stolen off of the backs of working people, black, brown, white, everybody. They don't discriminate whose money they're going to take. Um, 6 people, and they inherited it. It's not like they started and worked their way up. They inherited that money, and then they will also pass it down to the next set of Waltons. Didn't matter what they learned in school. They learned the one thing they needed to learn. They were privileged, they had money, and that's all they needed. And now they have lobbying power that influences because they donate to campaigns, and they use that influence to make decisions about policies and laws that benefit them in their business. Um, and our schools perpetuate this idea that Well, they worked hard and they earned it and they deserve it. And if you too work really hard, you can have the American dream. La 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 la.
It's not an accident that our children, our young people, that we ourselves were educated in this way. It's not an accident. It took someone to decide what books were going to be read, to decide what teachers were going to be, to decide what the curriculum was going to be, to decide what was success and what wasn't
Yep.
success, who was valuable and who wasn't valuable, and those people in those rooms have been doing this for a long time, and I think it's time for us to be in those rooms
Yeah.
making these decisions for our community. Why are we not there? Why are we not showing up? And why are we? I think, well, we are now.
Yeah. And I need to
Maybe
give a
that's the
shout
better
out because we're not just ignoring the fact that there have been progresses made. There are some amazing black teachers and staff, specifically in Schenectady schools. I can't say this about Albany. If y'all know some amazing teachers or administrators in Albany that are really fighting to have an anti-racist agenda, an anti-racist curriculum, who are being inclusive of the LGBTQIA community, as well as ensuring that black and brown voices are seen and heard in literature and books, and that culturally reflective education isn't just saying Jaquan instead of Jessica. If you know some teachers like that, please let us know. But in Schenectady, we do have teachers and staff who are fighting internally to create that kind of change, and we need to support them from the outside.
yeah,
We
for sure.
need to support them from the outside because they are stuck inside a system that was created and based on white supremacy and racism. They are fighting against hundreds of years of institutionalized racism. They need our support. This Wednesday, Schenectady School Board is going to have a meeting and talk about the plan that our temporary superintendent came up with. Reminder, I call Aaron temporary because I refuse for him to be permanent. I look forward to hearing who the other candidates are that applied to be superintendent in the school district. If you know anyone, let us know. They're going to look at the plan that Aaron put forward, Aaron and his team, right? It's not by himself, that does not address the concerns that parents have, specifically poor, black, brown, working parents. And the support that teachers need and the support that families need. Like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? And that's, but at the same time, right, there's that battle. And there's teachers and staff trying to push forward an anti-racism agenda that they've actually been working on for a few years now.
Yeah.
It is multi-head, multi-arm, multi-leg,
Yeah, multi-limb. Yeah.
in our schools, in the justice system, with policing, in our elected offices. There is always some other angle that they are coming at us to cause harm to our communities and our children and our families. And our schools' curriculum needs to do better. Because even with the advancements that Schenectady has made, two things. One, they need more support from outside.
Yes.
And two, still need to do better. Ain't done.
No.
Like, you made progress. Let's keep going. Let's keep moving forward, because I think we should share in the comments the video that we saw.
Oh God.
So there's this amazing scholar. I'm just going to call him a scholar. Beautiful, beautiful black man who just has this dope just rendition of actual history and blackness and Africa. And no, Egyptians weren't white.
Yeah, they're gonna have to watch that video.
We're going to put it in the comments after this. We'll go find it and we'll put it in the comments. It is an hour. It's worth it. Listen, don't be lazy and say, "Oh my gosh, it's an hour." We've been on here almost an hour now. We way over on time. Make the time to watch perspectives from other people, to get information from other people, to integrate that into your learning and knowledge, and then look for ways to create systemic and structural change, because it's not just about people. It's about systems and structures and institutions.
Yeah, people miss that.
If all the white people stayed home today, if like everyone went, oh my gosh, it's 9:30, all the white people go inside, there'd still be racism. It does not matter if white people are out in the world. The systems and structures of oppression are embedded in every fabric of our lives. And those systems of oppression are detrimental to white people as well, just not based on their whiteness. It doesn't mean it's not harmful. It's just not based on their whiteness. You can still have white privilege and face struggle and trauma.
Do we need to do a whole live on that very same
Oh,
subject?
yes.
Probably,
Yes.
probably.
Yes.
But we don't have time today.
We don't. We way over.
We're way over.
Oh,
So we'll share. We will share that in the chat.
yes, absolutely.
Scholar Akala about the actual history, the real history of Africa. He covers several thousand years. It's awesome.
Africa, China,
Yeah,
Asia.
yeah,
It's the
awesome.
Moors.
Yeah.
The Moors.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's an awesome PowerPoint that he runs down.
I have a spoiler.
It's impressive.
I don't usually do spoilers, but I can't help it. There is evidence that Columbus wasn't the first person to come to this continent. It was Africans. Gasp.
And the reason why it's a gas for many people is that you have, like all of us, been taught a particular history for so long.
Yep.
That is the only history that you know, and it kind of, for if you're not willing to, I think, expand that knowledge or expand that reality, you will come at that like, what?
Yeah.
Like our whole entire, I think, perspective on the continent of Africa itself is one that's been shaped and formed intentionally
Savages.
in a particular way
Huts.
to say that these folks here are not valuable people, that they have no real history, and except for Egypt, which is not really black, it's really white. So we've
which isn't true.
Like this,
That's a lie.
Which is absolutely not true. It is a lie, and it's an intentional lie. But we'll share that video, and maybe we should have that talk too. So we share the video and then have the talk.
Oh my goodness. I think that'd be great. We could do a live just on that video and have that discussion. Anyone that joined us late and didn't catch the beginning, one, congratulations, you missed the Beehive, which had nothing to do with Beyonce,
and the mobile part of the show.
And the mobile part of the show where it felt like you were flying. So we will share that link after we end the live today, making sure that you see the connection between police accountability, officer misconduct, the timeline of what that looks like, and the energy necessary to make that justice a reality, raising the age and treating children like adults and not giving them the support that they need, and holding them accountable for shit that you won't hold a cop accountable for. Grown-ass man, got a job, but you stop. And how our miseducation of our children not only perpetuates that harm, but also denies every person of the reality of what we could be moving forward to. I've said this before. We may have already cured cancer if we didn't have racism. We could have, we wouldn't have poverty. I have no doubt about it. We wouldn't have poverty without racism. We would be able to offer so much more to the world, not just the United States, fuck borders, to the world, if we had an accurate and truthful history that we taught our children, not just here in the US, but across the globe. So do better, America.
Do better, everybody.
Facts.
Do better. Learn more. Get engaged. Get involved. Find your own truth. Look for that. Look for the reality, and not the myth.
Yes.
Right. The genius that like what you just said, like the genius that was lost, for no other reason but some made up thing about race.
Yep.
The genius that was lost, for the last, for hundreds of years. Yeah, you're right. We could have done so much more, but here we are. here we are having this conversation with y'all, and it's now coming to a close. We out of here.
We're out
We're out. We'll have more discussion, man. Hit us in the chat. We'll share that video out with everyone. Nice being here with y'all every Monday morning.
every Monday morning.
Jamaica Shawn. Peace out, y'all.
Laters.